Parshat Chayei has a very famous story as the major part of the Parsha, of the way Avraham Avinu sends his servant Eliezer. Throughout the whole text, as we'll see, it only mentions the Eved, but we clearly know, as our rabbis teach us, that it's reference to Eliezer, to go and find a wife for his son Yitzchak. And the Torah spends an enormous amount of time describing Eliezer's experiences by the well, and then Eliezer repeats the entire story when he then retells it to Rivka's family. It is at this point of retelling the story that we have in source number 1, where Eliezer says, in recounting the story, "I came today to the spring and said, Hashem, God of my master Abraham, if you would graciously make successful the way on which I go." On this phrase, Va'avo hayom el ha'ayin, Rashi immediately notes that the word hayom is extra. I've come today to the spring. Why not just mention I've come to the spring? So Rashi teaches us, based on the Gemara in Sanhedrin, hayom yatzati v'hayom bati. Today I left and today I came. Even though the trip should have taken quite a number of days, mikan shekafsa lo haaretz. There was an experience called kfisat haaretz, where the ground contracted, and a many-day journey happened in just a number of hours in a very short time. And the Gemara tells us that kfisat haaretz, kfisat haderech, the contraction of the way, only happened 3 times in history. Yaakov Avinu, we'll see in Parshat Vayetze, will be the 2nd time, and then once in Navi. This is not a very common experience. The question, this is the major focus I'd like to, Mirz Hashem, deal with today, is what is it about this experience where Kadosh Baruch Hu normally does not do miracles unless they are really warranted? What was the need? What's the mindset of doing a miracle for Eliezer, that there's kfisat haaretz, va'avo hayom, hayom yatzati, hayom bati. Today I left, and today I came. Rashi continues and tells us, Amar Rabbi Acha yafesi chatan shel avdei avot mitoratam shel banim. We also see from here that it's so beloved, and there's so much to learn from the sicha, the conversation of the servants of our forefathers, even more than the children. That there are many laws that are just hinted at or just mentioned very briefly in the Torah, while this section of the story of Eliezer takes up an inordinate amount of time. And it also begs us to be able to look at this story and to glean the necessary lessons for our lives. That is going to be clearly the focus of Mirz Hashem today's shir. The secondary question, which we'll just touch on briefly, is why was this whole shlichus, this whole experience necessary? Why wasn't it possible that Avraham Avinu would have just found a nice wife for Yitzchak right where he was in Eretz Canaan? Why was it necessary to send Eliezer specifically back into his father's house, to Haran, to where he came from, to specifically find a wife there? Were they not also of Avodah Zarah? They also worshipped idols. So what's really the difference between the people of Haran, his family, and the people of Canaan? Halalu of Avodah Zarah, halalu of Avodah Zarah. Both of them are corrupt people worshipping idols. So those are the questions and the focus for Mirz Hashem for today. I'd like to try to understand the idea of kfitzas haderech from 2 perspectives of Mirz Hashem. Perspective number 1 will be looking at Eliezer, and perspective number 2 will be looking at Rivka, and in both cases to focus primarily on what the lessons we can learn for our lives for today's day and age. Let's focus on Eliezer for a moment. Let's try to understand the whole idea of the shlichus and what Eliezer was supposed to do and the mindset of Eliezer in doing this job. Rav Moshe Reis Lavinu Laskil described for us in source 3a, Nimsa ki mi shufkad al bitzua mesima zu, the one who was in charge of carrying out this mission, biyadav hufkad kol atid Beit Yisrael. This is not just finding a wife, a nice shidduch, like a fiddler on the roof story. Lahavdil. This is the future of Am Yisrael is on the line here. We're talking about here in 3b in the asterisk, Mitziat Isha Matima Yitzchak, an appropriate wife for Yitzchak Avinu. Mashmuta Haita Mitziut Yoreshet Umemalet Makom L'Sara Sadeket, which means we're looking for somebody to step in as a replacement, as a next in line to Sari Menu. Isha zu amura by the arrow liot hashniya limahot Beit Yisrael. Hizu shitiyeh hashutfa b'binyan habayit hagadol shati Yitzchak livno. This is going to be the next one of the imahos. This job, the entire Klal Yisrael, the entire future of Klal Yisrael is riding on this mission. So that is why Eliezer is meant to swear to Avram Avinu that he's